Have you ever felt like your HOA isn't just managing the neighborhood, but running it like a dictatorship? Today's story is about Miles Carter, a quiet, hardworking homeowner who thought he'd finally escaped stress when he bought his dream house in the gated community of Silver Pines Estates. What he didn't know was that Silver Pines was secretly ruled by the most feared HOA president in the county, Veronica Vale. Veronica wasn't just strict, she was toxic, petty, and obsessed with control. She patrolled the neighborhood like a prison warden, measuring hedges, timing trash cans, photographing driveways. Neighbors whispered about her, but nobody ever challenged her until Miles. One Tuesday morning, Miles opened his mailbox and found a thick envelope stamped with HOA logos. Inside was a single word that made his stomach drop: foreclosure. They were taking his house. Not for missed mortgage payments, not for illegal construction, but for a list of humiliating, almost laughable violations. Hedge 2 inches too tall, trash can visible for 3 hours past pickup, doormat not compliant with community aesthetic. Each tiny fine had stacked into thousands of dollars, and now Veronica and her board were ready to seize his home. Miles felt sick. This was his life savings, his safe place. And now a group of power-hungry retirees in blazers were about to erase it over a hedge and a doormat. That night, something snapped. Instead of begging, Miles did something dangerous. He turned his living room into a war room: legal books, state property laws, HOA bylaws printed and highlighted. He wasn't just defending himself anymore. He was preparing to destroy the HOA at their own game. And that's when he discovered a law that would change everything. Third night with no sleep, Miles Carter had memorized the HOA bylaws better than Veronica Vale herself. Page by page, clause by clause, he realized something horrifying and beautiful. The HOA had been breaking their own rules. They failed to give proper notice for several fines. They selectively enforced violations only against certain homeowners. And most dangerously of all, they had no legal right to physically step onto his property without consent. That's when Miles stumbled onto an old state statute buried deep in property law, a dusty clause about defensive property measures against persistent harassment and trespass. In simple terms, if you're being harassed, you're allowed to protect your property, legally. A slow smile spread across Miles's face. The next Saturday morning, Silver Pines Estates woke up to a scene that looked straight out of a movie. While Veronica was sipping coffee and scrolling violation reports, Miles was outside with steel posts, heavy wiring, and massive yellow warning signs. By sunset, it was done. A high-voltage electric fence wrapped perfectly around Miles' entire property line. Bright signs every few feet screamed, "Warning, electrified fence, no trespassing." Neighbors filmed from their windows. Group chats exploded. Kids pointed, dogs barked, and Veronica, she lost her mind. Within hours, Miles received 5 new violation letters: unsafe structure, visual pollution, community embarrassment. But the real panic came when Veronica realized the truth. She could no longer step onto his property. She couldn't inspect, she couldn't photograph, she couldn't harass him. For the first time in years, the HOA had hit a wall, and that wall was electrified. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life justice moments. Also, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Veronica Vale wasn't just angry anymore, she was desperate. An HOA president being outplayed by a single homeowner was the kind of humiliation she couldn't survive socially. So she did what bullies always do when they start losing. She escalated. Within days, Miles Carter was served with court papers. The HOA was suing him for creating a dangerous public hazard, lowering property values, and threatening community safety. Veronica strutted into the courthouse with 3 lawyers in tailored suits, acting like the verdict was already written. Miles walked in alone. No lawyer, no entourage, just a folder. The HOA went first. Their attorneys projected photos of the electric fence onto a big screen, calling it aggressive, unhinged, and proof of antisocial behavior. They painted Miles as a rogue lunatic who had booby-trapped a peaceful suburban street. The judge raised an eyebrow. Then it was Miles' turn. Calm, quiet, surgical. He presented the foreclosure notice, then the stack of petty fines, then a timeline showing how the HOA violated their own bylaws. He highlighted missed notice periods, selective enforcement, harassment patterns, and then came the kill shot. Miles cited the state statute, the exact law that allowed defensive property measures against ongoing harassment and trespass. He showed that every inch of the fence was inside his property line. Every warning sign met legal requirements. No voltage exceeded safety limits. Then he said the sentence that shifted the entire courtroom. Open quote, "The fence isn't the problem. The fence is the symptom. The real danger is an HOA abusing power to steal a man's home." Close quote. The room went silent. Veronica stopped smirking. For the first time, the judge wasn't looking at Miles like a problem. He was looking at the HOA like predators. And that's when everyone realized this case wasn't about offense anymore. It was about exposing a system built on intimidation. The verdict was coming, and it was going to be catastrophic. The courtroom felt heavier than air. Veronica Vale sat stiff in her chair, jaw clenched, fingers digging into her designer folder like it could save her. Her lawyers suddenly looked a lot less confident. No more whispering, no more smirks. The judge took a long pause before speaking. Then came the words that shattered Silver Pines Estates forever. The court found that the HOA had engaged in systematic harassment, selective enforcement, and procedural violations. They had abused their authority, acted in bad faith, and weaponized fines to intimidate a homeowner into losing his property. And the electric fence? Completely legal. Not only that, the judge ruled it was a reasonable defensive response to ongoing harassment. But the real humiliation hadn't even started yet. The HOA was ordered to pay legal costs, emotional distress damages, punitive damages for abuse of power, final total $185,000. The courtroom gasped. Veronica's face drained of color. One board member actually dropped his pen. The same people who tried to steal Miles's home over a doormat were now being forced to write him a six-figure check. Miles didn't celebrate. He didn't gloat. He just quietly nodded. A week later, the fence came down. It had done its job. Veronica resigned within 2 months. 2 board members moved away, and Silver Pines Estates rewrote its entire HOA structure. Miles didn't just win a case. He ended a regime. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about proving one terrifying truth. Even the most powerful HOA collapses when someone finally knows the law better than they do. If this story opened your eyes, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life justice stories. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Because somewhere out there, another HOA president is reading bylaws right now and sweating